good to see our public sector banks also competing on equal footing with all the private banks and the foreign banks. And of course, the event is happening on a very important day. We've had the signing of, we've had the announcement of the India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement earlier this morning. It's the 7th free trade agreement under the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And you'll observe all of them are with developed economies, with economies with high per capita income. We've changed the way India thinks. We do free trade agreements with countries with whom we can get good big business opportunities, where we hardly compete on anything but complement each other and open up the doors for greater opportunities, greater access for goods and services. Our FTAs today present a very comprehensive nature. We bring in elements of technical collaboration, which will help our innovators, which will help our farmers improve their productivity, improve their income. In the New Zealand FTA, we have a firm commitment from New Zealand, binding, to invest $20 billion as foreign direct investment and regular. Incidentally, just for context, in the last 25 years, New Zealand has invested merely $70 million, which is about 630 crores, in 25 years as FDI. And now they've made a commitment that in the next 15 years, they will invest 1,80,000 crores as FDI. And if they don't invest, we can claw back the concessions that we have given them, which makes it a really binding, serious commitment. Not just an MOU or a promise that yes, we will invest. This they have to invest. And many other elements that are there in the agreement, a lot of investments coming in for innovation, a lot of investments coming in for manufacturing, for export, not only to New Zealand but other parts of the world. They want to make India as a manufacturing base. And I'm sharing all this because the biggest beneficiary of all of these steps is going to be the MSME sector. So my congratulations to all of you. I'm sure the SMEs, our incubators, our startups, our young entrepreneurs, all of them will be supported by the banking system in good measure. We will also support them through various schemes of the different government departments. But together, let's make this opportunity fructify on the ground as quickly as we can. Let's look at doubling, tripling, quadrupling our bilateral trade, both in goods and services. Let's provide opportunities for investors to come in and leverage this very important historic FTA, led by a team of negotiators which was almost entirely women. It's the first FTA finalized by women officers. Incidentally, even our ambassador is a lady. Just to tell you that our women of substance can play leadership roles as we develop the economy and as we empower our women to play an increasingly important role as we march towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Friends, today is also a very important day because we celebrate it as National Mathematics Day. It's the birth anniversary of Srinivasa Ramanujamji. And I'm mentioning this because we have a lot of bankers here. And I think bankers have a lot of mathematics to do. But the maths is simple. 2014, this government inherited a broken banking system. Cumulatively, I think our public sector banks were making about 80,000 crore rupees loss annually. The non-performing loans or NPAs, if you combine the NPA plus the restructured or evergreen loans, and we are all familiar, I think most of us here have enough experience, how the can was kicked down by just restructuring a loan or giving a new loan to pay off the old loan in the old days. There was hardly any recovery through SARFAESI or any of the old provisions which were available, causing the banks almost double-digit non-performing loans or dicey, difficult loans to recover. I still remember as a young person, when I started my business with a small manufacturing unit, the joke used to be that from the banking system, take a large loan. Because if you take 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 crore rupee loan, then the bankers will run after you to repay. You don't have to bother about repayment. It's only the small persons, the MSMEs, the SSI. Those days it used to be called small scale industry. It was the small borrowers who had the pressure of repayment, who were always stressed about repayment, who were always pressurized to repay, who were worried कि हमारा घर गिरवी रखा हुआ है कि always the small borrower who did not have pressure on the banking system, who had to bear the brunt, who had to pay the higher interest rates. And therefore, if we look back at earlier times, we've seen times when interest rates were as high as 18-20% for the small borrower. We've seen times when, even in reasonably good times, small borrowers had to pay 12, 13, 15%. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was always conscious of the difficulties that MSMEs face, of the difficulties that small entrepreneurs face when they needed a loan. And therefore, if you recall, in the first year itself, a committee was set up, and I think probably within the first year, the Mudra loan scheme was launched. When COVID hit India, Prime Minister was conscious that it is the small borrowers who will have the greatest difficulty. When we came up with this credit guarantee fund to ensure that adequate funds were available to tide over difficult times without having to provide additional collateral security or guarantees, the government became the guarantor of those loans to the MSME sector. In Mudra loan, and I do hope all the bankers are making sure that you give the Mudra loans, 70% of the Mudra loans were given to women entrepreneurs or women borrowers, 68 to 70%. Without any guarantee, without any collateral, to help them start a small business, to help them come up in life. The Swanidhi Yojana is also run by the banks, so that small hawkers, ठेला फेरी में जो छोटा छोटा कमाई करते हैं, उनको भी हम अपने पैरों पे खड़े होने में योगदान दे सकें. It may sound small, and to probably all the people assembled in this room, they do not realize how important that 10,000 rupees initially given to the Swanidhi borrower, then increased to 20 if he performed well and he repaid, then increased to 50,000, how important it was for that small hawker to rise in life. Otherwise, he had to go to a money lender, maybe borrow 1,000 rupees in the morning to stock up his little thela, his little cart, and in the evening when he had to go and repay it, he had to pay back 1,100 rupees. That was the kind of usurious rates of interest that small borrowers had to pay, which under Prime Minister Modi's guidance, the entire banking system, and I want to thank all of you, I want to compliment you for your efforts in supporting these small borrowers. Many have been rewarded today for their good work. I hope the others also get a message that they have to do equally good work so that next year's program, newer lenders, newer banks will get an opportunity to start being recognized for the good work that they are doing. I think people back there are very anxious to have a conversation. Friends, as Prime Minister Modi says, and I quote, for us, MSME means maximum support to micro, small and medium enterprises. Maximum support for MSME enterprises. And I think that's something that this government has been very focused on. I appreciate CIMSME becoming the voice of the MSME sector. The wonderful book that I have just launched, which compiles all the various schemes that the government has initiated, or different departments and different banks have initiated to support the MSME sector. And it's even titled quite beautifully. I hope you didn't mean it that way, but it probably has come out inadvertently. MSMEs of Developed India, MODI. ये आपने सोच समझ के किया है या अन्यथा बन गया? But friends, we have an opportunity today. The world is looking up to India. The world sees India as a trusted partner. The world knows that in India, you will get a fair deal, you will get national treatment, you will be able to invest in an economy where there is democracy, the rule of law, you will not be discriminated against. There's a decisive leader who's working day and night to strengthen the economy. After all, we did not become the world's fastest growing large economy without the decisive leadership and support of 140 crore Indians. We were not able to convert a fragile 5 economy to a top 5 economy without the hard work of all of you. A country which offers a demographic dividend, young population, the demand that 140 crore Indians generate, youthful, spirited, skilled young men and women contributing to the Indian growth story. It's an enviable situation that we are sitting in. Almost every country in the world sees in India today a $4 trillion economy, by 2047 a $30 or $35 trillion economy. And look at the delta of opportunity from 4 to 30, 32, 35 trillion. And 8x growth. That's the opportunity that awaits us. That's the opportunity that awaits the bankers. think last year's profit of all the banks put together was probably 3 lakh crores, I think. Shows you that there's tremendous ability to lend to honest borrowers. There's a tremendous opportunity available, credit demand available. I was just told by Rajneesh that growth in the MSME sector of credit is about 14%. 14% CAGR over the last few years. And I see in the future even greater opportunities. We are working relentlessly to expand our trading arrangements and international opportunities with more and more countries, particularly the developed region and developed nations, protecting the interests of our farmers, our MSMEs, our fishermen, our dairy, yet opening up big doors to large markets, which is only going to be useful if all of you lend liberally to support our MSMEs to grow, to become stakeholders in the India growth story. And I have no doubt that in the days to come, in the years to come, banks now completely empowered, completely free from any political pressure, will continue to serve the nation honorably, honestly, but boldly. Continue to support MSMEs in a manner that supports them to come out of micro, become small, come out of small, become medium, and then grow larger. The stock market is also a great support for MSMEs as they grow in their cycle of growth. Getting equity from the stock market is also now becoming more and more possible. And I would urge MSMEs to think big, to aim big, aspire to become large corporates, conglomerates. And when I meet any company today, larger companies also, they all have stories to tell of how they had started out as an MSME once upon a time. So it's ultimately the strength of our MSME sector which is going to determine the future growth story of India. I invite the banks to be a part of this journey, be more faster, do speedy dispersal or approval and dispersal of loans, be transparent in your operations, ensure adequate availability of funds so nobody suffers for lack of adequate capital either for CapEx or OpEx or for working capital. Ensure that we guide our MSMEs in their growth journey, help them get leverage the best of opportunities from the various schemes which have been listed out by Mr. Gupta in his book. MSMEs and banks are like inseparable twins. They have to work together, and this twin engine of the MSME's growth and banks' growth will together power the India growth story towards Viksit Bharat 2047. My compliments once again to all the award winners and my best wishes to all the bankers, all the NBFCs, all the persons from the field of finance assembled here in the new year 2026. Let's aim to take this country to even greater heights, faster growth, and make inclusive and sustainable growth our mantra for the Amrit Kal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, sir, for highlighting the huge opportunity which awaits everyone, and especially the collaboration between the MSMEs and the banks, which can further promote the growth story of India, highlighting the various trade deals and bilateral trade relations. Thank you, Honorable Minister. हमारे पुरस्कार विजेताओं को हम मंच पर आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे। ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ माननीय मंत्री जी के साथ। उसके बाद एक फोटोग्राफ हमारे MSMEs रत्ना पुरस्कार जिन्हें बाद में प्रदान किए जाएंगे, एक MSMEs के साथ भी we'll have a group photograph. But first, the awardees for the MSME Banking Excellence Awards, the private sector banks, public sector banks, the NBFCs who have been just now recognized, the jury awards also, recognition which has been extended to the banks and to the NBFCs. And post that, we'll quickly also have a group photograph with all the MSME Ratna Award winners. I think it was a very inspiring address and a motivating address, और हम सभी इस बात से Can I just request all of you, some of you can be standing at the back on the side so that all can be captured in one frame. और अब हमारे अच्छा अभी थोड़े से और MSME the bankers still who are left, they can be part of the second group photograph. और उसके बाद MSME रत्ना पुरस्कार जिन्हें आज प्रदान किए जा रहे हैं, उनके साथ भी एक क्विक ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ। माननीय मंत्री जी ने हमारे समक्ष अनेक ट्रेड डील्स, बायलैटरल ट्रेड रिलेशंस जो हमारे MSMEs के लिए विश्व मंच पर और अपार संभावनाएं खोल रहे हैं, उसके बारे में हमें जानकारी दी। और ऑल दी MSMEs द रत्ना पुरस्कार जिन्हें दिए जाएंगे, ऑल दी MSMEs if they can be here on the stage. There are almost 60 who are going to be recognized here. सारे 60 लोग मंच पर नहीं आ पाएंगे, हम फेज में कर देते हैं, या आप थोड़ा स्प्रेड आउट हो जाएंगे तो फोटोग्राफ भी सही आएगी। So thank you once again to the Honourable Minister Sir for inspiring everyone here. और आप सभी से निवेदन करना चाहेंगे, may I request you all to please be back at your respective seats so that we can continue with the award ceremony.